Have you ever set a huge, ambitious goal, gotten super excited about it, only to watch it just kind of fizzle out a few weeks later? Yeah, we've all been there. It's frustrating. So today, we're going to tear down that old, broken blueprint. We're going to design a completely new architecture for achievement, one that's actually built for real, sustainable progress.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll dive into why goal setting is a trap for so many of us. Then we'll build a much better way with systems, anchor it all in identity, figure out how to map our future, and finally, we'll talk about the incredible power of just focusing on one thing. All right, let's start with a feeling I think we all know too well. That gap between what we say we're going to do and what we actually end up doing. Why is it so incredibly hard to just follow through on our own plans?
I mean, this is the million-dollar question, right? We all start out with tons of motivation. We have a clear vision of what we want. So where does it all go wrong? Well, the problem isn't our desire. It's the framework we're using from the get-go.
Now get this, some research shows that just by writing your goals down, you're 42% more likely to achieve them. And that's great. It proves that making an intention concrete really does matter. But, and this is a big but, it's only the first and honestly a surprisingly small piece of the puzzle. And here is where a lot of common advice just completely misses the mark. You know all that stuff about visualization? Well, motivation scientists have found that fantasizing about success, picturing yourself at the finish line, can totally backfire. It kind of tricks your brain into feeling the reward early, which then, get this, lowers your body's actual readiness to take action. So dreaming about the finish line can make you less likely to even start the race. Crazy, right? The legendary success coach Jim Rohn absolutely nailed the real issue here. That anxiety we feel about the future, it doesn't come from a lack of desire. It comes from having a poorly designed plan or no real design at all to get where we want to go.
Okay, so if setting goals is the trap, what's the escape route? The answer is this really powerful, fundamental shift in focus. We need to stop obsessing over the destination and start focusing on the vehicle that will actually get us there. We need to focus on systems, not goals.
This quote from James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, this is everything. It's the core idea. We love to think we'll rise to the occasion, that we'll find some superhuman strength when we need it. But the reality is, we almost always fall back to the level of our training, to the level of our systems. Our daily habits, they're the floor that catches us. They determine our baseline, not our highest aspirations.
So let's really break this down. A goal is the target. I want to lose 20 pounds. The system is the repeatable process. I'm going to walk for 30 minutes right after dinner every day. You see the difference? Goals rely on willpower, which we all know runs out. Systems are designed to make progress automatic by making it easier to do the right thing. They reduce the friction.
And this is the magic of a good system. Think about it. Motivation comes and goes. Willpower is a battery that drains. A solid system, it doesn't care if you're tired or uninspired or just having a bad day. It's a pre-made decision, a path of least resistance that just guide you toward progress no matter how you feel.
Okay, so if systems are the engine of our progress, what's the fuel? What's the power source? This is where things get even deeper, because it's not really about what you want to achieve, it's about who you want to become. Here's another absolute gem from James Clear. Every single action you take is like casting a vote for the type of person you want to be. So don't think of going to the gym as a chore. See it as casting a vote that says, I am a person who doesn't miss workouts. Every tiny action is another piece of evidence you're building for yourself, proof that you are becoming that person. The power of language right here is just huge. Look at this. The first person says, I'm trying to quit. What does that mean? It means they still identify as a smoker who's fighting an urge. But the second person says, I'm not a smoker. That signals a fundamental shift in their identity. The action of refusing the cigarette becomes effortless because it's just who they are now. And this just brings it all home, doesn't it? The ultimate reward isn't the outcome. It's not the money or finishing the marathon or publishing the book. It's the disciplined, resilient, capable person you had to become to make it happen. That new identity is the real prize. Okay, so we have the mindset, systems over goals, identity over outcomes. Now let's get super practical. How do we actually build the plan to get there? So, learning coach Justin Sung talks about this really powerful method. Instead of just guessing at the steps to get to some distant goal, you start at the finish line
with your desired future self, and you work backward. This turns a vague wish into a concrete step-by-step map for today.
So here's how it works. Step 1. Define your future self. Ask yourself, who is the kind of person for whom this goal is easy or even natural? What skills do they have? What habits? What's their mindset? Step 2. Be really honest and assess your current self. Where are you right now? And then step 3. That gap between who you are and who you want to be, that becomes your plan. You just focus on closing that gap, one little step at a time. So you have your new mindset. You've got your map. The final piece of this new architecture is about applying your energy effectively. And that means fighting that incredibly powerful urge we all have to do everything all at once. The entrepreneur Alex Hormozy uses this fantastic analogy. He says trying to achieve multiple big goals at the same time is like trying to throw 4 different parties on the same night. You spread your energy, your resources, and your focus so thin that none of them ever really get going. To have one great party, you've got to get everyone to the same party. And this gets to the true definition of strategy. See, strategy isn't a long to-do list of all the things you could do. Real strategy is the ruthless act of choosing what not to do, so you can pour all of your limited resources, your time, your money, your energy, into the one thing that truly matters right now.
And this is a hard truth, but it's a critical one. If you say you have 5 priorities or 10 priorities, you really don't have any. When everything is a priority, nothing is. Real, extraordinary progress comes from a relentless, singular focus. Pick one party, pick one priority, and go all in. So let's recap this new architecture of achievement. First, forget the goal, focus on building the system. Second, stop chasing outcomes and start building an identity. Third, define the person you need to become to make that identity real. And finally, apply all of your focus to that one most important thing. We'll end with one last powerful reminder from Jim Rohn. Choose your ambitions not just for what they'll get you, but for who they will force you to become. Because that transformation, that's the real success. So I'll leave you with this one question to really think about. Forget the massive long-term goal for just a minute. What is the one small, repeatable system you could build starting today that would eventually change everything? Thanks so much for tuning in.